Thank you, Javier, and thank you, everyone, for allowing me this space to be with you all today. I'm going to be sharing from the perspective of my ministry that I've done with La Pastoral Juvenil and youth and young adults, Hispanic youth and young adults in particular, but obviously from all different cultures. I think everyone can agree that at times people think that Los Jóvenes are a completely different culture. They say, they do things their own way. They have their own way of thinking. They're their own kind of, culture, hasta veces even species. But honestly, this is where my segue is into, in times of division and crisis, why is it key that we come together? Pero what are some of those things that we need to practice ourselves in order to move forward together as a community? So Diácono Enrique, he spoke right now in regards to confianza and trust. So one thing that I've seen working with La Pastoral Juvenil in regards to what Los Jóvenes have taught us and keep teaching us is that gaining somebody's trust is key to ministering with others and ministering to others and serving others. So in this case, Los Jóvenes, they practice solidarity themselves. They are very much with the idea of I am not alone, and very much of telling somebody else, you are not alone. So they practice solidarity. They do that by this mentality of, their friends and their communities being, their ride or dies, as they call them. I will do anything. I will be with you till the end. And that is something that we can take on as a learning experience for us, that, how do we make others feel welcome? How do we make others feel like they can trust us? My personal example that I had growing up was my grandma, mi abuelita, who practiced hospitality to the extent of her being. So what that means is that she didn't just accept somebody for who they were at the moment. She invited them into a part of her life. So a personal invitation is the key to practicing hospitality. It's not just about, making them part of sitting at the table. It's about actually asking them, while they're sitting at the table, getting to know them, who are you? Tell me a little bit more about you. That's hospitality. It's not just inviting them, it's actually getting to know them while they're sitting at the table. So Los Jóvenes, they actually start building up that trust by inviting others constantly to be a part of their lives. Whether they mean to it or not, whether they do it intentionally or not, they constantly invite others to be a part of their lives. One thing that I wanted to point out, if you all haven't received a copy or have a copy of it, is a directory for catechesis. I was reflecting as I was going to speak to you all, what actually means, hospitality in the sense of, being together with others. And there's a section in here that it's called knowing how to be with. So in other terms, hospitality, as I was saying, sitting around the table with others, is knowing how to be with others. So accompanying them in their walk, but also how to be with them in the reality, in the current reality that they are living at right now. So as I tell you from my perspective, I see this with a lot of the jóvenes that, they're going through different, issues, bicultural identity, things at home that they're dealing with, but it's about not trying to fix their issue, but just walking with them, in solidarity and being with them. So one thing that I want you all to keep in mind as we're continuing our conversation is kind of a self-reflection. Obviously, I don't think we do that enough as ministry leaders, self-reflect in the sense of how do we practice hospitality ourselves in our own personal lives, because that's definitely how it's going to show, with the way we minister to others. And I would challenge you to identify one person in your life, whether it's a coworker or, a family member, your kids, that have challenged your way of practicing hospitality. That means that it's in a way that we didn't like at first, or that we didn't want to invite them to the table or to the conversation, but we have to be challenged in a way in order to grow in this practice of hospitality. So yeah, so thank you again for having me, and I leave it to Javier and Johan.